With the completion of the crafting room, we need to start the next project. That project I kind of want to do outside, because if I'm completely honest with you, we're going for like a gothic kind of feel for this little mega base house thing that we've got going on that's actually in the mountain here. The next thing I have in mind doesn't really fit that theme in any way, shape or form, because the next thing I want to start doing is create. And what do I want to start doing in create? Well, I want to start an assembly line so that we can make automatic precision mechanisms. Now we need these because if we go into the All the Mods Star page here, to craft the Nexium emitter, we actually need either a large advanced motor from Modern Industrialization or the mechanical arm from Create. And if I'm being honest, I think it's easier to create the mechanical arm as long as we set up an assembly line to autocraft the precision mechanisms. So I kind of want to create a little bit of a woodworking workshop kind of area somewhere over here. So let's get on with it. So I've added another balcony and we've got the entrance down for this wood workshop. Now, as I was trying to find some sort of inspiration for this wood workshop, I couldn't find exactly what I wanted. So I was kind of just making this up off the top of my head. I had a basic idea of what I wanted, but I couldn't find an image or anything to represent to show you guys what I wanted, so you could see what we were kind of going for. And it's probably easier if I just time-lapse the rest of this and you can see what we're trying to do. So as I'm adding the final details to this build, you can see that we've got logs everywhere, we've got storage places. It's kind of like an open workshop, if you will. And this front section is going to be more like a storage house than it is an actual workshop. The actual workshop portion of this build is mainly going to be in the back where we have the process. So this front is more just like the face work to make the place look nice. You can see we've got a few tables in there, a few woodworking tables like table saws, even some little tinkering tables and things like that. So all that's left to do now to this front section of the build is add a wall. Now I don't want to add a full block wall because I want to make sure we still got room behind the table and chairs that we have in there. So I'm going to use some of these frame panels that we're going to get from the framed mod. And then we'll just probably throw in some dark oak in there. You can see I've tried to go with like a darker theme as well to keep within the gothic theme, which I think is okay. We've not done a terrible job there. So now that we've got the wall in and the door is in place and where we're wanting it, we need to now mine out the room. And it's going to be a pretty big room. So we have something a little like this. It's big. Is it big enough? I'm not sure until we start making the process. However, we can't actually set up the process yet. There's a few things within Create that I want to make first. If you have never messed around with Create before, then a quick rundown, here it is. So Create revolves around rotation and rotational energy using water wheels. Now, the more water wheels you have in your setup, the more machines you can run because the less stressed they are. You do have to keep an eye out on the stress, otherwise your whole assembly lines might actually break and stop working. But once we have these water wheels up and running, we can simply just connect like a shaft to them and it'll start rotating. However, it will rotate rather quite slow because it is a starter supply. Now, with this, we can obviously change the direction by using gearboxes, and we can also make vertical ones as well to take the shafts up or down, or a normal gearbox which will take it left and right, transferring that rotation in any which way we need it. Now, to get these gearboxes, we're going to need some andesite casings. To get the andesite casings, we're going to need some andesite alloy, which is just andesite and some iron nuggets. And then we just simply strip some logs, right click with the andesite alloy to change it into andesite casing. And using the shaft that we make with the andesite alloy, we can make some cogs, surround the andesite casing with the cogs, and we'll get some gearboxes. You want to change your gearboxes into vertical, you just put your normal gearboxes back into the crafting table, you will get the vertical gearboxes. But we don't need those at this moment in time. But there is a better way we can make rotational energy by using the FE that we're generating from power. That is by using the electric motor. However, we can't just make the electric motor in the crafting table. We actually need something in Create called mechanical crafters, and we need 12 of them. So we're going to go quickly make some of those. So with a simple crafting table, a brass casing this time, which is you do in the same way as the andesite casing. You just strip some logs and use your brass on the log, and then you get your casings. And we also need an electron tube. Now this electron tube, we need some polished rose quartz. Now how do we get those? Well, we have to actually sand down some normal rose quartz. Now we can make these rose quartz using redstone and some quartz. We'll get 10 of them, and we just need some sandpaper. We put our sandpaper in our offhand and we hold the rose quartz in the other, and we can start eating them and it'll start sanding them, giving us the polished rose quartz. Now we can combine those with the iron plate, giving us the electron tubes, and we can simply throw those things inside of the crafting table to give ourselves the mechanical crafters. Now we're making 30, although we don't actually need that many, so the rest will go into our storage. We only need 12. Now, for each recipe that uses the mechanical crafter, it might say you need a certain configuration of crafters. And you can see that with the layout of the item you're trying to make. So in the electric motor, we need 3 at the bottom, 5 above the 3, 3 again, and then 1. So once we have those in, we're going to need to power the mechanical crafter. And the mechanical crafter uses rotational energy. So we're going to use one of our gearboxes. We're going to change the direction of the shaft, and then simply put a cog next to the mechanical crafter, link it up with a shaft, and it should start rotating, meaning this mechanical crafter is now working. However, it's not complete yet because we're going to need a wrench, because the way the mechanical crafter works is it slowly brings all the items together and merges them into one item, crafting you the item that you're requesting. In this case, the electric motor. But not all of them are pointing in the correct direction. So to change the direction of these mechanical crafters, we need the wrench. And the way you tell to see if the mechanical crafter is facing in the right direction is like the black conveyor belt looking texture on the mechanical crafter itself. It needs to be pointing to the other mechanical crafters until it points to only one, combining your items together. And then normally you put a chest on the top. I tried to put a netherite chest from Sophisticated Storage, and it'll put that item in the chest. So all we needed to do now was grab the items that we are requiring for the electric motor, and once we have those, we simply just put it in the correct configuration. And once we've put all of those items comes in, it will slowly start to merge those items together. Now, what we've got to remember is this is going to be rather quite slow. The reason being because we're only using water wheels and they're slow at generating that rotation. Now, eventually, you can speed up the rotation of these water wheels by using a rotation speed controller from Create. But you do need to make a precision mechanism. And we don't have that process set up yet, so this will be the method that we use. It's rather quite slow, but it is what it is. It still works. Now, once it had finished crafting, it actually didn't put it in the chest, so I don't know whether it works with sophisticated storage or not, but either way, we can just take it out of the mechanical crafter ourselves, so it causes no harm, and we can get rid of the water wheels then because we are completely done with them. We'll never need to use them again. And the way this electric motor works is if we put it down, link a shaft to it, simply give it some power, it'll start generating us our rotation. Now, this thing on the back of it, if we right click and hold the right click, we can change the speed of that rotation. So in a way, this is sort of like a built-in rotation speed controller. So now that we have the electric motor, we can start setting up the precision mechanism process. The first step in this process is to smash down some gold ingots into plates. Now we can get those plates by using the pressing arm on a gold ingot and it will smash out a gold plate, which is perfect. And we can automate this by first of all placing the electric motor down, changing some of the speeds, and with some shafts and some gearboxes we can create a conveyor belt, and then we can place down our pressing arm. However, it's not ready yet because we need to give some rotation power to the pressing arm, and we can test that it's working by grabbing some gold, which I set up beforehand in this little alcove here, which we won't see, and we can throw some gold down on this conveyor belt. It'll stop at the pressing arm will come down, smash it into a plate, and then it'll go off to the other side of the conveyor belt and get spat off. Now, that plate has got to be put in a circuit, feeding it cogs, large cogs and iron nuggets, and it's got to go around that circuit 5 times. So we could actually organize this in such a way that it's just one big snake-like process, but that's going to be rather quite big and bulky, because once I set up the first 3, I then realised I had to get set up another 4, and I had to snake round with the conveyor belt to then come back on itself to do another 3, and then snake round again and go back on itself again to do another 1. That's just to get 3. It's going to be quite a big mess, and I don't think that's what this place should be about. It should be like organised chaos, if you will, and there's definitely a way that we could compress this down a little. So out with Prototype Mark 1 and in with Prototype Mark 2. So I'm not going to talk you through step by step how to make this. If you do want a separate video on how to make this machine, then just leave a like and a comment down below. And for those that just want like a schematic, I suppose I could make a schematic of this and you guys could copy it as well, just so the Create Canon can build it for you, and then you just got to do a little bit of tweaking, stuff like that. But that's for you guys to let me know. So let's get on with the build. Until we have something that looks a little like this. So just to quickly talk you through how this thing works, we start down at the gold ingot dispenser, and it will press down the gold ingots into plates, sending it up and into the main system. And then that gets stored in a drawer for when we need it next. And then those plates will go into a dropper, which is connected to like a redstone clock, which will go off every couple of seconds. And that dropper sends a plate into the item vault at the back. And it comes out of the andesite funnel, which is where we'll receive a small cog, a big cog, and even an iron nugget. Now, on the brass funnel, I have got a filter, and it will only accept partially done precision mechanisms, which means any that aren't complete will go back into the item vault and then come back round until it reaches a point of which it's done. So it'll go round 5 times and then it'll go into the chute, which then goes into the chest. Now, not all the time are you going to get a precision mechanism. Sometimes you might get a cog back, sometimes you might get iron nuggets, big cog, some gold dust, or crushed gold, or something along those lines. It's not 100% success rate on the precision mechanisms, but I have all those things being filtered out and thrown in the trash because we don't want them. And the way I'm going to keep this thing constantly working is, unfortunately, with running out of time, I can't do it in like the create manner. So everything's just modular routers and crop seeds for now, but things may change in the future. But I do like this process. It's quite small, it's quite compact. I like it, it looks good. So the only thing that's left to do now is to add a few more processes, which I'm going to do in the next video because we are running out of time, and design this room. But thank you all for watching today's video. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button. Consider subscribing. We are on the road to 1,000, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Goodbye.